So now looking at melody, considering that we've just done quite a bit on the little chromatic melodic features. So this is all scalic at the beginning. Next door neighbour, next door neighbour. And then we've got a bit of arpeggiation at the end of this fourth line. And then we've got a lot of trills. There are lots of trills in the piece generally. I am not going to be able to play them. It's that, but a lot faster. We won't be doing that today. And then they pop up again later as well. And these are, again, a melodic feature, a decorative feature. So you could just do... But that's not as interesting as... etc. So, decorative. This is a dance. Again, this is a minuet, a Baroque dance. We've done saraband dancing, so we know that even though this is faster than a saraband, it's all very, you're held up high, everything's very graceful. It's a very high society thing to dance. You do get dancing in the kind of lower classes as well. But it's a very kind of, yes, we go to the dance, they didn't have Instagram back then, so what were you supposed to do with your time? How else were you supposed to see what everyone's wearing and their new hairdo or fake hairdo? You dance. So this is a feature of decorative dancing, decorative music. They kind of go together. And the trills come back later on. You've got some which are just kind of, if we look at a couple of instances in the final line. That. I'm doing all upper trills as opposed to lower ones. There is a particular way around they're supposed to go and I can't remember. If I end up doing them all wrong, sorry. And then as well, etc. It's yeah, decoration. And with these trills come this dotted pattern. Come back! And this dotted feature comes up again and again. So it's nice. It's a nice rhythmic contrast. See, now we're delving into the rhythm again. They all cross over. It's a rhythmic interest, the dotted nature of the... And within that, this is all scalic. And then we just got a little leap up to the third there again. And then the fourth. So we've ended the phrase on D, the dominant, and then boom. And that way you don't kind of finish your phrase at home, because then it's like, oh, I'm already home, I have nowhere to go now. And then you're kind of stuck. That's why he ends in the relative major at the end of the first section. It's so it doesn't feel like we've just kind of gone. So if you just stop there, it's like, boom, done now, thanks a lot, okay, bye, dance over. And we don't really want that. You want to keep it going. You want to save that moment till the end, really. So that's why he ends on D instead of G or anything else. And then he starts it again. So he's added a nice leap in here. So again we start scalic, another little rhythmic interest there, something different. And then we jump back down to the D from this B flat. So this is a descending leap of a minor sixth. And then some more scalic stuff, and then the dotted feature comes back, but this time we're not next door neighbours. We're working in thirds. This is one of the simplest forms of sequence. So sequence is when you have a pattern of intervals or a pattern of notes, and you do say, great example, and then you repeat the same thing again but higher, and so on and so forth. So he's done this. This is the simplest form. We have third, 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 and then he goes the other way around. He inverts it, and then scale, leap back up to the G. So this is a leap of a fifth as opposed to a fourth or a minor sixth. Scale. So this is interesting now, looking at the beginning of the second section. We started our first section with a tone, rising tone, and now he's diminished this interval. This is called intervallic diminution. So this is when you take your interval and then you make it smaller, and we're on a tone, so there's only one way we can make it smaller on a piano, and that's the semitone. He's transposed it down, so we start on a D instead, but instead of going, we're now and then we have more scales. This rhythmic feature comes back, da, da, da. And this is all scalic, scalic, and then we jump up by a fourth, back to D, and then down by a third. So that this dotted rhythmic feature comes back with trills. I'm sorry, that kind of fell a bit. With the trills. But again, we are in sequence, and this is not the falling that we had in the first line, and it's not the that we had at the beginning of the second line. This is now sequence, 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 sequence from a higher interval than we've been doing previously. Decoration, and then from here we have another scale time, more scale time, decoration. Note this is harmonically of interest, by the way, this bar. 4/3 suspension. Very nice. And then back up a fourth to D, and this is, you might think we're going to go back and do that again, but you are wrong. That's a very big interval for the Baroque period. You know, you get some octaves, but even then that's very like, oh, what a gesture, an octave. It's usually very small intervals in things, and he's just, it is in my opinion the most expressive interval. But you can have another opinion. So, shake it up, do something different, and then we're back to G. Scalic. Then we've got a kind of arpeggio outline here, but in a slightly different inversion. So D, B flat, G, and then scales, decoration, and then he kind of rolls with this little rhythm that we've had previously. Scales, and then we have sequence. This is like a proper juicy bit of sequence. So we are in G minor now. Now let's repeat the whole thing in C minor. Boom. This is when we get a great crossover. So melodically, this is kind of explaining more this B natural that we said earlier was a melodic chromatic feature. So in terms of tonality, we have gone from, if we just purely look at the right hand, G minor, C minor. Okay, we've got the seventh of each in there. This is a direct sequence. The rhythm is the same in both of them, and in order to make it a pure direct piece of sequence, you know, we have to count the intervals. So tone, semitone, back down, semitone below. We have to keep this B natural if we want it to be a direct sequence, which is why that's kind of included, and it's interesting and cool. Particularly considering we then go to a B flat. So again, we've got this rhythm, and we're just outlining a 3-2-1 pattern at the very end.